about information, information science, and information systems. We will also be talking about the patient's story. What does this mean and how does this relate to informatics? Well, first of all, it relates because the clinical record communicates the story of the patient through data, words, images, and codes. It is very important for the record to show the patient's story without having to do an endless search. We need to present this data in such a way to support clinical decision making at the point of care. The first step in the patient stories are the concepts of data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. In 1986, Bloom described data as discrete entities that are described objectively without interpretation, information as data that are interpreted, organized, or structured, and knowledge as information that has been synthesized, that interrelationships are identified and formalized. In 2008 edition of Nursing Informatics Scopes and Standards, wisdom was added to this hierarchy. They define wisdom as the ability of the nurse to add experience and intuition to a situation involving the care of the persons. When we talk about the nursing informatic frameworks, in 1989, Graves and Corkin described this framework for the study of nursing informatics based on a few central premises. A, the phenomena study, B, the distinctiveness of nursing information, and C, the integral relationships of informatics to nursing science. Well, what does this really mean? Well, the phenomenon study includes the concepts that we talked about before: data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. In 1986, Bloom grouped and classified computers into functions as to whether they specifically process data, information, or knowledge. In 1989, Judith Graves and Sheila Corcoran, using Bloom's model in their article, it made use of the information model known as the Data Information Knowledge Continuum. In the late 1989, Irene Jose and Ramona Nelson add wisdom to the continuum. Data and information is the know what, knowledge is the know how, understanding know why, and wisdom use it. Data, as described here as 103, is discrete entities that are described objectively without interpretation. Data integrity refers to the whole, complete, correct, and consistent data. Can be compromised through human error, viruses, worms, other bugs, hardware failures or crashes, transmission errors, and or hackers entering the system. High quality data, data that are relevant and accurately represent their corresponding concepts. Data are dirty when there are errors in the database, such as duplicate, incomplete, or outdated records. The data that we process into information must be of high quality and integrity to create meaning to inform our assessment and decision making. Information is data that are interpreted, organized, or structured. Quality of information is necessary for it to be valuable and meaningful. Characteristics of valuable quality information: accessibility, security, timeliness, accuracy, relevancy, completeness, flexibility, reliability, objectivity, utility, transparency, verifiability, and reproducibility. Knowledge is information that is synthesized to identify and formalize relationships. So, as we know, a temp of 103 degrees Fahrenheit is way too high. And then we look at wisdom, the appropriate application of knowledge to the management and solution of the human problem. For example, I'm going to give Mr. Smith Tylenol to bring down his temperature because I know it's too high. An example of data, information, knowledge, and wisdom, or DIKW, is what you see on the screen. Data, vital signs for the individual's heart rate, respiration, temperature, and blood pressure. Information, serial set of vital signs that is taken over time, placed into a context, and used for a longitudinal comparison. Knowledge, recognition of a pattern and identification of interventions, reflects information synthesis based on nursing knowledge and experience, And then wisdom, accuracy of synthesis of information and appropriate selection of interventions. Knowledge is focused on what is known. Wisdom focuses on the appropriate application of that knowledge. For example, a knowledge base may include several options for managing an anxious family, while wisdom would guide the decision about which of these options are most appropriate with a specific family. And these are examples of the knowledge wisdom continuum. So, when we talk about information science or science of information, it is the studying the application and usage of information and knowledge in organizations and the interfacing or interaction between people, organizations, and information system. Information science enables the processing of information. It is a multidisciplinary science that involves aspects from computer science, cognitive science, social science, communication science, library science, to deal with obtaining, gathering, organizing, manipulating, managing, storing, retrieving, recapturing, disposing of, distributing, or broadcasting information. Information science studies everything that deals with the information and can be defined as a study of information system. The science originated as a subdiscipline of computer science in an attempt to understand and rationalize the management of technology within organizations. When we look at information system, this is the combination of hardware, software, and telecommunication networks that people build and use to collect, create, and distribute useful data, typically in organizational settings. Can be used manually based, but for the purposes, the term refers to computer-based information system, designated for specific purposes within the organization. It acquires data or inputs, processes data that consistent of the retrieval, analysis, and or synthesis of data, disseminates or outputs in the form of reports, document, summary alerts, prompts, and or outcomes, and provides for responses or feedback. The capability to disseminate, provide feedback, and adjust the data information based on these dynamic processes are what sets them apart. It should be a user-friendly entity that provides the right information at the right time at the right place. So when we talk about computer science, this is the discipline that is introduced to focus on computers and the hardware and computer that makes up the involving systems. Computer science offers extremely valuable tools that, if used skillfully, can facilitate the acquisition and manipulation of data and information by nurses who can then synthesize these into evolving knowledge and wisdom base. So computer technology has ushered in what has been called the information age, an age when data, information, and knowledge are both accessible and able to be manipulated by more people than ever before in history. Essentially, a computer is an electronic information processing machine that serves as a tool to manipulate the data and information, and it's the easiest way to begin to understand how computers realize their input-output systems. These unique machines accept data inputted via a variety of devices, process data through logical and arithmetic rendering, store the data in memory components, and output data and information to the user. You should all be familiar with different parts of the computer, including hardware, which is the physical body of the computer and its components, the casing, the outer shell of the computer, the CPU, which is the brain of the computer, the motherboard is the central nervous system of the computer. Power supplies provides essential electrical energy needed for the computer to operate. Hard disk is the permanent data storage. RAM is the temporary storage that holds data and instructions. And ROM is the permanent memory that can only be read and not changed. Other parts of the computer that you should be familiar with is the DVD-CD drive, which reads and writes data through an infrared light beam. Flash USB drive is a portable memory device. Modem is a device that allows the transmission of data between computer and communication lines. A bit is the smallest chunk of data memory used in computer processing, displayed as a 0 or a 1. A byte is a chunk of memory that consists of 8 bits, and software are the programs that run on a computer. When we talk about input components, these are input devices which include the keyboard, mouse, joystick. As you can see here on the slide, I included a Atari joystick, which if you're old enough, you remember playing with this as a kid. Game controllers or pads, web cameras, stylus, often used with tablets or personal digital assistants, image scanners for copying a digital image of document or a picture, or other plug-and-play input devices such as digital camera, digital video recording like a camcorder, MP3 player, electrical musical instrument, or physiologic monitor. These devices are the origin or medium used to input text, visual, audio, or multimedia data into the computer system for viewing, listening, and manipulating, creating, or editing. The two primary input devices on a computer are the keyboard and mouse, which is shown here. Processing components are specific software that is used depending on the application and data involved. One key hardware component, the computer monitor, is a unique example of a visible throughput component because of its part of the computer focused on the most when users are working on a computer. Inputted data can be visualized and accessed by manipulating the mouse and keyboard input devices, but is the monitor that receives the user's attention. The monitor is critical for the efficient rendering during the part of the cycle because it facilitates user access and control of the data and information. When we look at the relationship of computer science to knowledge, scholars and researchers are beginning to understand the effect that computer system, architecture, application, and process have one potential for knowledge acquisition and development. Users are able to contribute the development of knowledge and through the use of productivity, creativity, and communication software. Using the World Wide Web interface, users are also able to disseminate knowledge on a grand scale with other users. The deluge of information available via computers must be mastered and organized by the user for knowledge to even emerge. Discernment and the ability to critique and filter this information must also be present to facilitate the further development of wisdom. So in summary, I'd like to talk about the good versus the bad of the patient story and use of data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Computers have developed in speed and accuracy and efficiency, yet cost less and have reduced physical size. These trends are projected to continue, and there's unlimited potential for growth. The field of computer science is one of the fastest growing disciplines. Astonishing innovations in computer hardware, software, and architecture have occurred over the past few decades, and there's no indication that this trend will stop anytime soon. So, like many healthcare providers and also everyday providers like yourself may use the copy and paste feature, which is very quick and very efficient. But there are many issues associated with copying and pasting that you may not be aware about, including inaccurate data, unethical practices when you're copying somebody else's assessment and it's not your own. And it also pulls in formatting issues that may only be viewable behind the scenes, and this is a big problem with the electronic health record systems. Also, it could be hard to find information on the story on the patient when the information does not follow a linear path. You just can't see the whole patient story. And also, there may be too much information. You're digging through too much. As you know, we live in a fast-paced society and getting information everywhere. I hope you enjoyed this week's topic, and I look forward to talking with you soon.